All right. So, first of all, welcome back to week two. Week two of we're gonna start. I think we're changing the name of it, right? We're gonna start calling it Motivational Mondays, and we're gonna move our calls to Mondays, right, James? Is that
That's
right?
correct. So our idea is this. We're going to talk about this tomorrow morning during the, you know what? Actually, I don't even know if I'm going to be on the call tomorrow. Anyway, our plan is to provide you guys with a lot more training opportunities, opportunities to talk to us about the different things that are going on. So for one, we're going to have Motivation Mondays, right? Just to get your week started. We're going to talk about all the different things that we have going on to help you kind of get in the right mindset for the week. All of these lead generation, all of these money-making activities, all of this coaching stuff, and give you guys an opportunity to chat with us about those things to make sure that you have everything that you need and give you an opportunity to get the coaching and the guidance that you need. Then on Wednesdays, Heather is going to have her webinar Wednesdays for life insurance, and I think I skipped Tuesday. Tuesday we're going to start doing commercial training as well. So we're going to start throwing an hour in there a day of commercial lines training. So all of the information that you guys learned during the Commercial Insurance Academy, it's going to start being presented a little bit more piecework throughout on Tuesdays throughout the month. So give you guys an opportunity to continue to learn more and have the resources that you need. So that's basically where we're going with that.
Sweet. So let's dive into our Motivational Mondays here on a Thursday, right? Taco Tuesday.
Motivational Monday, special brought to you by Thursday.
Awesome. So all right, so we start off with some money making activities, and always, I like to start off these types of presentations with a why, because it's always important to always remember why it is that you're doing something, right? And our why, especially in business, is to be of service to more people, and in return, we're going to end up generating more money. So chasing the dollars versus chasing the ability to be of service. And one of the things I find with people, you always hear that carrot and the stick scenario, but I find that if you give somebody the ability, like for example, if I said, if you do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to give you $1,000. There are a few people who will try, who'll make an attempt and go at that type of money. But the funny part is, if I say, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to take away $100 of what you already have. It's funny how when somebody has the potential to lose what they already have, that's more of a motivational factor to them than trying to go for something that they don't have, right? And you can relate this all the way down to fitness. In the real estate coaching side, we have this client that was, huge, like fat huge, right? And diabetic and in bad health, and he would go to the doctor all the time, and the doctor would tell him, hey, look, your heart, you're gonna have heart problems, you're gonna have blood flow problems. And it wasn't until the doctor said, hey, if you don't get this fixed, the next time we meet, you're gonna lose a finger or you're gonna lose a toe, that he finally decided to make something happen, right? It's not until that fear of losing something that is going to end up driving you to do what it is that you didn't want to do in the first place. Most of the time we know exactly what we're doing, what we need to do to make ourselves better, to make ourselves healthier, or in this case, to make ourselves more money, but we don't actually go do it until we get to that point where we're about to lose something. We don't actually go do our lead generation until we're starving for money. We don't go do our lead generation until we're at the very end where you're in panic mode. And it's funny because it works that way with a lot of different things in life, but we don't actually take action until we get into panic mode, and unfortunately, it's kind of like a spiral effect. If you wait to the point where you no longer have a choice, now you're starving for that next lead. Now you're starving to close that next deal because you absolutely feel like you need that thing instead of continuously doing what you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. right? And that's kind of where we were at with our money making activities. The things that we should be doing on a daily basis, so that we don't have to go into that feast or famine mode, so we don't have to worry about the roller coaster income. We're doing these things, and we do them every single day, so that we can continuously have that pipe full of potential closing deals, so that we're continuously working towards our ultimate goal. And last week we started with the things that were productive by coming up with our magic number. So hopefully you guys did your homework and you have a starting point, or at least you have an idea of what your starting point is supposed to be, so that, when we talk about lead generation and we talk about building out a schedule and we talk about, meeting a goal, you have a starting point. You have a foundation of where you're going to start from, so that you know exactly what you need to do to meet or exceed your goals. So, James, anything you want to dive into that before we jump into lead generation here?
No, just what you said about the magic number, having that starting goal. If you don't have that in mind, then there's no way that you're going to really be successful, because you don't have that starting point. So if you are on board with us at that 40% level and all you're trying to do is meet those minimum numbers, then that's all you're going to do is meet those minimum numbers, maybe. Okay, but if you want to excel, then definitely push for something higher. And we want to help you reach those goals. We're going to be putting in a lot of new systems to make sure that you have, again, the guidance, coaching, and everything that you need to get there. So go ahead, take it away with lead generation.
Sweet. I mean, you kind of hit the ball on the head there, too, about the if you're only meeting that goal, you're only going to get there. It's funny how if we have a bill to pay, right, if we have our bills on a monthly basis that come in the mail, we feel accountable to pay those bills, and for some reason, we always find a way to make those payments, right? We find a way to pay our bills, but we never have anything left over. We never put anything away for savings. We never put anything away for investment, and it's mainly because we don't have that accountability, that external accountability that's pushing us to do those things. If we don't pay our cell phone bill, the external accountability is our cell phone goes off. Right? If we don't pay our credit card bill, the external accountability is they cut off the credit card limit, right? We don't get to use that anymore. So if life had those external accountabilities, which is what we're hoping to bring to you on these Monday calls, that external accountability, it'll help you reach that goal. You know exactly where you need to go now, and on Motivation Mondays, we're here to push you to get to that goal that you're going to get to. So one of the ways you're going to get there is doing one of the money-making activities, which is lead generation. And we want to make sure that we're specifically clear on what lead generation is, because oftentimes it's what you think it is versus what it actually is. So for us, lead generation is making your daily calls. This is picking up the phone and actually talking to a decision-making adult, or going and knocking on the door and talking to the decision-making adult that is going to be making a choice whether to be in service with you or not. Lead generation is not email, it's not voicemail, it's not text messages. Those things are supplements, but they are not part of your lead generation. They don't count. So in other words, if we're playing the game of Monopoly and you roll, you play with the money in the middle for free parking, that's not really a rule. That's just something that you build in on the side. So it doesn't really count. That's kind of like the free parking. Yeah, it's cool if you get a lead that closes via email. Yeah, it's cool if you close a deal via text message. But those aren't the things that are going to be productive going forward consistently. And that's the big thing that we're talking about here, is we're talking about making your cash flow consistent. Everybody likes to talk about that one time that they closed that major deal, right? But that one major deal was only that one time. It's not on a consistent basis. You can't live your life off one deal, unless, of course, it's the $450 million lotto ticket. Then I guess we can make an exception for that one. But other than that, those big deals are far and few between. Yes, sometimes deals are going to fall in your lap. Yeah, sometimes you're going to get that easy one, but don't count on that on a daily basis. Lead generation is only when you pick up the phone and talk to somebody, or when you knock on the door and talk to somebody. So it requires you to get out of your comfort zone and talk to somebody, right? And so the only way you're going to actually do that on a daily basis is to start your day, is to set up every day by setting a schedule, right? And a simple schedule, everybody has life that's going to be a little bit different, but a simple schedule is you break it up into your mornings and your afternoons. And your mornings should be dedicated to lead generation. This is where you're picking up the phone and you're calling. Either you're going to separate your call list into what we call A, B, or C, A, B, and C leads, and we'll talk about that in another time. But essentially, we have A, B, and C leads, where an A lead is somebody who's going to do business in the next 45 days, right? So their buying window is right around the corner. You need to be talking to these people on a daily basis, right? Don't let that window close on you. You need to be in constant contact with these people. And I know James has been working on what we have. I have on the real estate side, I have a 12-week seller communication plan where I have something set up so that I know what to talk to, what to say when I talk to a seller on a daily basis. And we're setting something up similar to that on the insurance side, because we want you being in contact. We want you to be constantly talking to your potential client, especially when they're an A lead, and have something of value to bring them to them on every conversation, so that when it is time for them to enter that buying window, when it is time for a close, it's not the first time you're talking to them. You've been nurturing this lead for quite some time, so it's just a natural progression that they're going to end up closing with you. So you have to make sure you spend your mornings on that lead generation side. This is where you're going to make the phone calls. Your A leads are people that are going to close within 45 days. Your B leads are within 45 to 90 days out. Your C leads are people who are sketchy. You don't know exactly what's going on yet. Maybe they want to do business with you. Maybe they don't. You need to filter these out a little bit more, right? They might be flaky for one reason or another, but they can potentially be a B or an A lead. You just need a little more work on them. And then you have what we call the dump list. So if you have somebody who's a C client, where they're maybe flaky, you talk to them about 3 times, and this is 3, again, conversations, either in-person conversations or on the phone. Email doesn't count, voicemail doesn't count, text message doesn't count. You talk to a C client 3 times and you know they're completely flaky, then what we do is we dump them, right? Kind of like an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend, we dump them. But we don't actually completely dump them. We kind of leave them on our Facebook page, kind of, that kind of dump, where we kind of keep an eye on them, and we talk to them maybe every 60 days or so, just to get a feel to see if things change. And not just to see if things change, but by the same token, hey, you do give them a call, and it's going to be something like, I'm just following up with you, seeing how things are going. I know you're probably not in the buying window right now. I mean, I'm using our technical terms. You're probably not in the buying window right now. But by the way, who do you know who I can help be of service to? So the D leads they may not do business with you, but you want to keep a good relationship going because they could be an excellent referral source for you. So that's what we do with our D leads. We do them in the dump pile, and we contact them about every 60 days. So your mornings, your call blocks, right? Whether you have the mental muscle to do a 1-hour or 2-hour call block is going to be completely up to you. But this is the time that you sit and you pretty much lock your door. Nobody bothers you. You're not on Facebook, right? You're not checking emails. You're not responding to anything like that. This is your call time. This is where you're calling down your list, your A, B, and C, and even your D list, to make sure that you are doing what the second half of the day is, and that's going to be for setting appointments. So every time you're talking to a potential client in your morning call block, the intention, the purpose of that call is to set an appointment, because leads are worthless. Leads don't mean anything. They have no value. They have zero value. Appointments have value, right? But the problem is most of the times we fall off in the follow-up, which is going to be the next section, by the way. So most of the times we fall off in the follow-up, and we never get past this first part, which is the lead generation. This is the call. This is the going out and talking to people. This is the asking for referral, right? This is where the 9 a.m. call block happens. So I kind of have an example of a schedule. Before I go into the schedule, James, you want to drill down on anything I've already said?
A little bit. There was one of the things that we talked about was setting up your call block, and it's going to be dependent on what your magic number is, what your goals are. So we talked about trying to make, what was it? I think it was about $4,000 a month, and we ended up that you have to talk to 5 people per day. So if you can fit 5 people into 2 hours, then that's how much time you need to set aside. So the amount of time that you need to set aside, again, is going to be dependent on what your goals are, how many people you need to talk to through the day based on what your magic number is.
All right, and hover there for a second. When we're talking about those type of contacts, the 5 people per day, those are more appointment settings. You might have to make 20, 30 calls in your call block through your list to set your couple appointments per day to meet your quota. Right? It's not an automatic thing. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that all you got to do is call one and you're going to get an appointment. That's not the way it works. This is a numbers game. Think about yourself. You're not always in the buying window for whatever it is that you're going to buy, but when you're ready to, you always go to and you refer yourself to the person you know who's been helping you in that particular content, whether it's to buy a car, whether it's to get a home loan, whether it's to get insurance. It's all going to be the same way. You're going to go to the person who's been nurturing you the most, the person you know you can go to, and that's the idea between having that lead generation, having that call block, is so that you are the person that they go to when they're ready to be in that buying window. So, anything else, James? Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's all good. It's all good. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you was that when you do make those calls, well, I guess we're going to talk about it a little bit during the follow-up here, but when you make those calls, make sure that you're bringing something of value. Make sure that you're not calling and just, hey, I'm just following up. Just following up isn't necessarily going to be something that's fruitful, but if you're bringing them something saying, hey, I noticed that in this market, these changes are happening. For example, this law that just got passed a couple of months ago in California for the subcontractors. So anybody who is hiring subcontractors, they need to be made aware of those changes, and if you're bringing that to them, you're building trust with them.
And you're delivering something of value. Otherwise, I don't really want to hear what you have to say, to be honest, right? Make sure you have something of value to bring to the table. So an example of a schedule would be maybe from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. you have your call block. This is where you're blocking yourself in. You're making your phone calls from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is where you're doing your data entry and your servicing time, right? This is where you're entering the information that you did in your call block. You're entering which clients are moving up from an A to a B list. This is where you're preparing maybe some presentations for the appointments that you set up. This is where you're doing some servicing and answering your emails. So you dedicate that time. You have to make sure you dedicate that time in your schedule for that sort of stuff. And then maybe you have lunch, right? Don't forget to eat. God knows if you don't eat, you get, you like those Snickers commercials, you turn into somebody else if you don't have some substance in you. So make sure you sit down and eat. And preferably, don't eat alone. Eat with somebody. Eat with a potential client, right? Have lunch with somebody. Get that conversation. Use that time to nurture a specific client. Maybe you meet at their office and you take them lunch, and you can slash appointment and lunch, something like that. So, but make sure you block out some time for you to eat. Don't go throughout your day. It's not an Iron Man. It's not a tough guy thing. It's not a badge of honor to go through the day without eating. Sit down, make sure you take care of yourself so you can be better prepared to be of service to your clients. All right, then maybe from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., this is your meeting time, right? This is where you have clients either coming into your office or you're going to meet those specific clients. Remember, your goal is to do maybe 3 or 4 appointments a day. So if you have, a 1 hour block for each appointment, then you already know exactly what scheduled time you can see them. So when you're talking to them on the lead generation side, in your call block, you're like, hey, you know what? I got an appointment today at 1 available, or I can meet you at 3. Which one will work best for you? But you know exactly what time in the day you have scheduled for meetings. And then when you're done with your meetings, you got from 5 to 6, and this section is where you're going to be setting up your call list for the next day. You're going to go through that call list. Okay, which ones did I leave voicemails on? Which ones did I not get in contact with today? Which new leads came in that I need to contact? Right? You're doing all these last-minute things in preparation for the next day. So you're always trying to have that same cycle going through on a daily basis, because these are the things that are going to make you the most money if you're doing them daily and if you're following your set schedule. Right? That 5 to 6 at the end of the day, this is you're setting up your call list, and this is where you call back any last-minute leads that trickled in, whether you got a text message, whether you got an email, whether you got whatever it is that came in. This is where you pick up the phone at the end and you follow up with your clients. Never end the day without following up, and that's part of our next thing. But for right now, that's a sample of what a good schedule would look like for you on a daily basis, so you can sit there and you know exactly what you're doing on a daily basis. Yeah, I know that most of us got into business so we wouldn't have a schedule, right? I wanted my free time, but so far, if you're living into this, if you moved into this business to live a life of nothing but free time, and you're on this call because you're struggling, how's it working out for you? You have to have a schedule. most of us are most successful. We were most successful. We were most productive, I should say, maybe not successful, most productive in high school. And that's kind of our prime. And it's mainly because we had a schedule. We had to be at school at this time. Bell rang, we went to the next course. When bell rang, we went to the next course. Bell ended, we were done with school. We went to practice, or we went to do it. We had a specific schedule. And because we had that specific schedule set in place, we have some of the most memorable moments in our lives during that time, whether it's high school or college, when we had a set schedule. So make sure that your day is blocked in, and some of us, we have to pick up the kids from school. We have to do, pick up, maybe we have one vehicle and we have to share with the spouse. I know life happens, but look at your particular day's schedule and block out the times that you're going to work. And when you're doing those things, those are the only things that you're doing. I know there's too many times where we're proud of being multitaskers, but in all reality, we as humans suck at multitasking. We cannot do it. We can kid ourselves that we're good at it, right? We can say that women are better multitaskers than men, but we can't. In all reality, we can focus on one thing at a time. And why would you want to be weak in a bunch of different areas at the same time when you can be really strong at that one thing at that one time? So make sure you use that schedule. That's one of your greatest tools for keeping yourself productive, is at this time, this is what I'm doing. And you have to hold yourself accountable to sticking to those times. And, if something is going to be scheduled in there, go ahead and plan it ahead of time, right? You know what? I'm not going to be in the office this morning on this day, but it's on your calendar. You're blocking it off, right? But if you stick to this mainly on a daily basis, your lead generation and your follow-up will be much easier to stick to. You're going to be consistent, and you're going to be filling that pipe on a regular basis. James?
No, that is perfect. So those morning calls, just remember that the goal of those morning calls, when you're out there making those calls first thing in the morning, the goal of each of those is to set appointments. The goal of each of those is not to be trying to close the sale and do all of that stuff right then and there. The goal of those is to set the appointments for later on in the day.
All right, you want to go over how you set your list by priorities? I went over the A, B, and C clients, but a little bit more specific for insurance.
Sure. So we have these three that you're looking at, which is your lapsed coverages, upcoming renewals, and your new prospects. Okay. When you're sorting these by priority, did I just do an MK?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, you did. I would have dropped the quarter, but I didn't set them up.
Yeah. We've been dropping quarters on the podcast. Every time we say or MK. Okay. So lapsed coverages, these are the people that are in an emergency situation. They need to talk to you. They need to get their coverages put back in place right away. So these folks are usually going to be your highest priority. If you come across someone who has lapsed coverage while you're prospecting, that's still going to go into your new prospects. That is still somebody who needs that insurance probably much faster than somebody who is waiting on renewal. Somebody who has a lapsed coverage is going to be an A client. It's going to be an A-list client. Okay, it's somebody who needs that coverage right away. Your upcoming renewals, these are in your B list. Usually we want to start reaching out to our upcoming renewals within that 45-day window. If we are outside of the 45-day window, it's still very helpful to keep in touch with all of those clients to make sure that they know who we are and we're bringing something of value to them every time that we talk. One of the things that we always look at is the business operations. One of the questions that is asked in the application process is, do they have a safety manual? Do they have training for employees, especially those that are serving alcohol? Those types of things are what we want to be looking at with these clients to make sure that they have everything that they need so that when their renewal is due, we can qualify them for the best possible coverages, the best possible carriers. And the last one is new prospects. These new prospects can be anywhere from an A to C or even bring them all the way down to D-list clients if need be. But these new prospects, they can be someone who is within that 45-day window. It could be somebody outside of the 45 to 90-day window. It could be somebody who's 6 months out and they came to you because they had an audit possibly. They had an audit with their previous policy, and all of a sudden their rate jumped up. So these are the different things that you would be looking at with a new prospect. When you have somebody who is 6 months out, carriers usually don't want to see a midterm change. So unless it's a really, really significant price reduction, we won't be usually moving that over until renewal. So we want to make sure that we are within that renewal window of 45 to 60 days.
Sweet. All right, you got a couple scripts here, right, that you came up with?
I have been working on scripts. We talked about speaking to at least 5 new prospects a day. And you know what? Let me pull it up because I didn't. Give me just 1 second here. The scripts that you had there, I have been working on. So, calling scripts. Here we go. So there's an initial call, and I will be providing these scripts. I'm still working on them. They're not complete. So, but hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, this is your agent with Pipeline Insurance, your name, of course. The first thing you want to do is thank them for their loyalties, right? So thank you for maintaining your business with us since however long. Your type of policy, auto policy, home policy, business policy, etc., is up for renewal soon, and I would love the opportunity to sit down with you and review your type of policy. It is a good idea to do a review with a trained agent at least once per year and make sure that you have the best coverage options for your present situation. Do you have a moment now?
And look, you got to remember that scripts are sometimes when we talk to real estate agents or we talk to insurance agents, they're a little hesitant on reading a script. Why? Because they don't want to feel like they're reading something. Everybody hates to answer the phone and you have somebody saying the same thing over and over again. I get this call almost every day, and it comes in and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Cias, I'm calling from, I don't even know, something agency. I noticed that, you didn't go on vacation last year. What happened? Did you just forget, or did life get in the way?" And it's the same thing every single time. No matter who's calling me, I hear the same thing every time. And every time I hear their name of the company, I always finish it for them. I always say it for them. I'm like, I know, did I forget or did life get in the way? And it catches them off guard because they're just internalizing the script. They say it their way, but they're internalizing what they were trained to say. So when we provide these scripts, it's not that we want you to say these things verbatim, right? You don't have to say the same exact thing, but understand what the script is saying. The script is saying, "Hey, thanks for being awesome and sticking with me. I just want to look out for your best interest. This is what I think we should do to help you out. Do you have a minute, or can we set an appointment, a specific time?" Right? We're always going for the same thing. We're trying to make sure that we, thank the client for being a loyal customer because, then they're going to want to be loyal. It's like a reciprocation thing, right? Hey, you are awesome. We really appreciate you for being loyal. And you're kind of already implanting that in their head. Okay, well, this is the company that I already work with. I want to make sure I'm all good. Right? And do you have a time to set an appointment? Cut the BS. You don't have to talk about your dog, and you don't want to tell them about how your kids are doing. It's not about you. It's about them. And you don't know what's going on in that particular moment in time when you're calling them. So get to the point, and they're going to tell you whether they're available to talk to you or not. Right? Give them the option. You have a minute right now, or would tomorrow around 1 p.m. be better for you? Okay? That's all you're really doing. You're just there to set the appointment. We're going to provide the scripts, but the scripts are not meant to be, read verbatim. They're meant for you to understand what the script is asking you to do and then internalize it, make it your own, and use it on a daily basis. It'll cut through the minutia. You'll get through more calls. You'll be more consistent because it's your professionalism coming out on the line, right? You're being professional. You're the pipeline agent. You're here to be of service to them. I have something that I want to share with you that I think is valuable for you. Is now a good time or is later a good time? Those are the options that you're giving them, right? And then once you're in the presentation mode, we'll be talking about, what you're going to ask for the referral to. So every piece has that sort of thing. So when we're coming up with these scripts in different areas, whether it's a renewal lead or whatever, there are core concepts that we want you to understand within the script, but not necessarily things that you have to read. Now, if you're the type of person who is going to memorize it and say it verbatim, by all means, that should work too, right? but we know that everybody has a personality, everybody has a different trait. And if you're talking to people that you're familiar with, they're going to know whether you're reading them something or whether you're having a conversation with them. And the best type of lead generation, the best success rate is going to come when you internalize the scripts and you're conversing with them. Hope that makes sense.
I hope so too. I just wanted to drill down on that a little bit. Remember that the goal of the initial call is to set the appointment. So you could say, rather than do you have a moment now, do you have time this afternoon? You want to set the appointment, okay? As Hernan said, damn, that was another okay. As Hernan said, keep the conversation professional and to the point. You're calling people typically who are business owners. They don't want to have their time wasted, so don't be charming, don't share stories, just get to the point. You want to help them review their insurance policies to make sure that they have the right coverages that they need for what they're doing. The other part of the outbound call is you'll always get a lot of pushback. You'll get customers who will tell you, no, I don't have time, I don't have time. What you want to remind them is that it's our goal, it's your goal, that the insured gets more value from the conversation than they give up in time. If they can give you the opportunity to review the policy, you can make sure that all available discounts are being applied, which will save them money. Okay, and when it comes right down to it, that's what they really want to do. They want to save money. Your goal is also to make sure that they have the appropriate coverages that they need, but their goal is always going to be to save money. So that's what we want to do, is make sure that we review with them and apply all the discounts, implement all of the control measures to make sure that they're qualifying for all of the best rates.
And remember, it might take 5 to 8 touches before they actually work with you, before you're able to set the appointment and actually talk to them. You don't know what's going on in their life. They could be right about to pick up their kid from school, or they can be in the hospital with their dying parent. They might not have time for you and what you're talking about right this very minute. You're going to be making constant calls, and you're going to be hearing no. If you're not on everyday basis, if you're not out there hearing no, you're not lead generating correctly. You're not out there doing what you're supposed to be doing. Just because they tell you, no, I don't have time right now, and you can't get them to set an appointment right now, it doesn't mean you stop calling them. It's going to take multiple times. Guaranteed, they probably won't even remember that you called 5 minutes after you hang up. Okay, so make sure you're following up. When we talk to agents, whether it's real estate or insurance, it doesn't matter. Most of you do not have a lead generation problem or a contact list that you need to worry about. You can go through your cell phone contacts, social media contacts, use memory joggers, right? People who I already know. Who do I know at church? Who do I know at the doctor's office? Who about my kids' sports, at the gym? Where do I go to spend money? There's all kinds of different leads that you can work on. People usually do not have a lead generation problem. If you really dig deep, the lead generation is not the issue, it's the follow-up. It's what we're going to be talking about on Monday when we come back, because we're going to be running out of time here. But follow-up is the problem. It's not the lead. You have the information to contact. You just, for whatever reason, your ego is going to get in the way. We'll talk about next one. Remind me if you guys want to hear it. We're going to talk about the difference between fear and ego. Right? Because I'm going to tell you the difference between fear and ego. And it's your ego that is stopping you from doing things. It's your ego that's stopping you from picking up the phone and calling them. It's your ego that's stopping you from knocking on that door. That's what's stopping most people from earning the revenue that they want to earn. They say that they want to be of service, right? You say that you want to have more clients. You say that you want to do these things. But when it comes down, your call block time, maybe you set a 2-hour call block, and you actually spent that time, I don't know, digging through some emails, hopping on Facebook, doing everything everything other than the thing that you're supposed to be doing. So the leads are already there. You want some more ideas for leads? Partner up with tax offices. Partner up with real estate agents. Partner up with escrow offices. Partner up with captive offices. Partner up with dealerships, CPAs, divorce attorneys, bankrupt attorneys, corporate attorneys. The ideas for who you can partner up with for leads are endless. They can come and generate leads all they want, but if you don't block out that time, if you don't classify your leads, if you don't pick up the phone, if you don't knock on a door, leads are worthless. They mean nothing. They have zero value because you can generate them all you want. Appointments have value. And if you don't spend your day going through your leads and setting appointments, you're never going to meet or exceed the goal that you set for yourself. You're never going to meet your magic number because you're not doing the money-making activities. You're going to do other things that you quote-unquote call work, but they're not dollar-productive activities, right? So I want to make sure that you guys dig deep a little bit. Your homework for this week, well, at least until Monday, so you got a short weekend, your homework is to grab your contact list. Grab your social media list, grab your whatever list you want to do, and go down that list and start classifying your list into A, B, and C leads. And look at your schedule and start breaking up your schedule into, this is my call block, this is my data entry time, and this is going to be my appointment time. So if you do those things and you set yourself up, come Monday when you hop on the call and we talk about the difference between fear and ego, hopefully I whip you into shape a little bit and you realize the difference between your fear and ego. You can easily identify it and then kick its butt and get out there and start doing what you're supposed to be doing so you can meet or exceed your goals. Does that sound fair to you guys? Oh, by the way, some of you guys are muted, but we're going to enter here into our Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, tell me I sucked this week, that was horrible, I didn't get anything out of it, or that was amazing, I got something out of it, let me know. Now's your time.
Super amazing. I loved it.
Cool.
All right, everybody is unmuted. Thank you, guys. But don't let's talk about your questions. What questions do you guys have for us?
First of all, I wanted to ask on Monday, what time was the class going to be at, or was there going to be an email that was sent out to them?
We're thinking about the same time. We're thinking about 2 o'clock. Because we want to, we kind of want to, we'd be kind of hypocritical if we're telling you to use the morning to do nothing but call block, and then we schedule our, motivation in the morning. It would kind of be, oxymoronic there. Not to mention that I'm available usually after 12 o'clock. So for, pretty much the same reasons, I'm doing my lead generation around the same time in a different way, but doing my lead generation around the same time. So about 2 o'clock is what we're thinking.
Okay.
Cool.
Anybody else questions on lead generations? Any ideas on lead generations? Things that we haven't talked about?
Hey, kudos real quick to Julia. Closed the life policy this week. All right, Julia, you got paid.
Oh. You know what? Actually, you mentioned Julia's name. Thank you. I wanted to follow up. Julia had a question for us last week. She asked which types of businesses would provide or require the least amount of servicing. And just yesterday, I got probably the best answer I think that I could have received. Yesterday, we had a meeting with Sandy Grigg, our Hartford rep, and what Hartford does that is different from a lot of other carriers is they have what's called the Consumer Service Center. Sorry if you guys hear the jets overhead right now. They have the Policyholder Service Center. Sorry about that. And basically what that means is your insureds have the opportunity to call Hartford directly, and the Hartford reps can do all of the servicing needs, adding certificates, providing certificates of insurance, adding additional insureds, changing locations, adding locations, payroll adjustments, et cetera, and so on. All of those different things that your insureds might need on that commercial side, the Policyholder Service Center can provide through Hartford. So, Julia, to answer your question, those types of businesses are the ones that are going to qualify for Hartford, which is usually going to be your preferred lines of business.
We like preferred. It's already preferred.
We love preferred. We love preferred.
It's in the name.
And if you have questions about what types of business are preferred and what Hartford is looking for, we'll put you in touch with Sandy. You can have a conversation with her. She's got all kinds of resources. Not to mention, in our carrier cheat sheets folder, there's a ton of brochures for the Hartford telling you exactly what they're looking for. Also to note, they just recently came out with a Garage Keepers product. So all of you who are involved with auto shops, auto repair, tire shops, retail, not used tires, and no auto body. But other than that, there's a lot of opportunity there for growth.
Sweet. All right. Anybody else got any questions? Natividad, what's up, senor?
Hey, man. I had a quick question, actually. You said a lot of stuff about the golden number, and then I like how James also kind of brought up, he said that 5 calls, or should be really 5 appointments. On a personal note, like, what was your golden number? Like, what have you found to be, this is how many calls, it takes me to go ahead and do it? Like, what's the average?
For insurance? Because I don't actually do the insurance stuff. My sales is more on the real estate coaching side. So, for example, yesterday I made 40 calls, I made 15 contacts, and I had 3 people that I signed up for a coaching program that I'm doing on Tuesday. So, that's kind of a ratio that I did, and that took me about maybe an hour worth of calls. Most of them were voicemail. That just happens, right? Dialing to the next one. But every once in a while you do get a conversation. And even the ones that kind of say no, they're not really interested, I still have a conversation with them, and then I ask them if they know of anybody, right? Because I still want to be nice to them. And maybe they might have somebody, I had a couple real estate agents that are like, oh, no, I retired. I'm not in the business anymore. And then, of course, you know what? I compliment them. You're probably right. You should be getting out. The market's changing. I'm sure you've been through a lot of ups and downs. But, hey, do you know any new agents that, might need some help so that, they don't make the same mistakes that we made as seasoned agents? Compliment them, right? And they'll send you some referrals, but it's just a matter of having a conversation. So, whatever your time block is, it depends how productive you want to be. I'm doing 40 in that 1 hour time block, and, I only got 3, right, from my phone calls, but it's not bad, right?
One of the things
on a daily basis, that's 3 people a day that I'm adding to my training programs.
One of the things that Armando talks about in the Commercial Insurance Academy is to pick your niche. Pick 2 to 3, maybe 4 at the most, types of businesses that you want to go after. And at that point, it's just a matter of making those calls, just like Hernan was talking about, because there are 40 restaurants in a 2-mile radius from you. If restaurants is what you're going to go after, there's plenty of them. If you're in the mindset of scarcity and there's not enough business to go around, then you're not in the right mindset. You need to be aware that there is an abundance of business out there. It's your job to go after it. Pick your niche, find that list, start calling.
And one of the things is you're going to find is you usually need about 2 to 3 times what you think you need to achieve your goal. So if you're thinking, if I'm going to make, 10 calls today, you're probably going to need somewhere around 20 or 30 calls to actually meet the goal that you're looking for. Because we tend to set our bar pretty low when it comes to our own expectations. What we expect other people to do, we set the bar pretty high. But when it comes to ourselves, we kind of set the bar low, right? And it's because not so much that's really our own ego. We're stopping ourselves from doing what we don't want to do when we don't want to do it. But we still got to do it at a high level. So if we block in that time and you have a list, don't make the list 10 people long. Make your list 150 people long. And then if you don't get through your whole list, that's okay, right? You're just going to crank it out, keep going to the next one, keep going to the next one, keep going to the next one. And try to find a fun way of doing it. Like I'm going to go through my list, and I'm going to try to record or write down the craziest no I got for the day. Like, that could be a fun one, right? And then it's not so bad when you get the no, because now you're chalking it up to, yep, that was the best one right there, right? That was a fun no, right? Like, I had a lady yesterday go, I'm not even in real estate anymore. Take my name off your list, right? I'm like, ooh, that was a good one right there. I'm going to write that one down, right? It's fun for me that way, because otherwise I'm going to take it to heart every time I hear no. And it's going to make me not want to do this anymore, right? But understand that that's just part of the game, and make those no's fun. And then when your day's over, gripe about them, tweet about them, right? Man, I had a rough day. This is the funniest thing I heard today, right? Make it fun. Make it worth your while. Come and share them right here with us. Maybe we should do that on a Motivation Monday. Let's try to record, write down your favorite no for the week. Right? And then that will kind of push us. If you can come in and share your favorite no that you got, that means you had to work through some no's, and hopefully you got through some yeses.
I like
That one was off the cuff, by the way. So that was cool.
Little freestyle right there.
Little freestyle. See, I got bars too. Me and Eminem, we go way back.
Back.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? All right.
Cool. Well, then we got Motivation Monday coming up this Monday. And then hopefully all of you guys are subscribing to the podcast. SIASFirst.com, SIASFirst.com. We got a Business Bros Pod on Twitter, at Business Bros Pod. So if you guys want to tweet some stuff, have some conversations, it's always cool to develop those conversations on Twitter. It doesn't count, right? It doesn't count as lead generation, but it's always fun to drop in some comments here and there and pick up some information along the way. So hit us up on Twitter, find our Business Bros Podcast, and until then, we'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
I'm out.
Ciao.